sauce. He's scared. He said he wasted time, bro. Like, oh, you just gonna have to take a drum like that? Right. You gonna have to take a drum? Praise Yahweh. Praise Yahweh.
All praises to the Most High. I hope everyone is having a pleasant time so far. First, I'd like to do a couple of recognitions. If I saw Aaron and Rabbi Rowan to come up front of Raksha. These are the two chairs of the IMA. These are the guys that give us the leadership and the guidance in the group. You see the other men that were standing up last night that are part of the IMA, but again, the leadership and the guidance are given by these two men, so please give them a round of applause. Chief of Chiefs couldn't make it today, but he sent his peace and his love to everyone. I want to give a round of applause to Chief Rabbi Kapos Pune for coming to be a part of this. And his brother, Rabbi Rahat, where are you? Rabbi Yahat. Hallelujah. You got Crown Prince Arishadai in the building. Where are you? Hallelujah. You got Rabbi Yeshua in the house. Hallelujah. We have, gotta get it right, Rabbi Chief Benjamin in the house. Say Chief Rabbi, say, well, who's the Chief Rabbi? We got Crown Prince or Chief Prince Yediel Ben Yissaskar, Rabbi Baruch Ben Yehuda, Mori Yiftach, and you have to forgive me if I didn't see Mori Shemuel, Samal Zakar, all these brothers who are leaders in the different communities and the nation of Israel. Rabbi Shalem, for who not here. Okay, some brothers went to go take a cat nap. You know, when you get a little older, you got to take a nap. I just wanted to cover last year's notes for those that were not here and did not participate. You can get an idea of what we covered last year, and so please be patient with me. The notes from the IMA retreat, March 2017, which was held in Harrisonburg, Virginia. The topic of discussion was being a better man, husband, and father. The bullet points from that discussion were manhood, humility, being conscientious about our health, identifying role models, identifying a support system, husband, listening, honesty, know your limitations, and spend quality time, undivided attention. Father, being present, teach by example, consistency, speak with not to, and reassurance. The takeaways that we had for this retreat were building relationships through activities, camp, athletic leagues, and youth related. If you missed the basketball game yesterday, you missed something sweet. I didn't see them boys play ball like that. They played some hard ball, and so not only did they play ball, what I witnessed was relationships were building. And so I think we probably tripled our number from last year with the amount of youth that we had, and y'all willing, hopefully you young men will outnumber the older men, the senior men next year. And so we hope that the basketball tournament drew you in, but this is what the most important thing is that fathers, grandfathers, and sons are connecting under the guidance of Yah. Relations have to be built based on respect, mentoring youth, and relationships. In spite of our differences, what can we do collectively? We can be respectful to each other. Does everybody agree with that? Amen. Have patience and humility. Everybody agree with that? Yes. Support each other's events. Can we do that? Yes. So who has an event coming up? Stand up, please. Who's got an event coming up?
DCB.
DCB is when?
May 26th and the 27th.
So that's 2 weekends from now?
I'll be there.
So we need to be supportive of DCB, correct?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Ben Boaz. July 15th in Charlotte? Okay, so we need to support Charlotte. Who else has something coming up? Rabbi?
October, last weekend in October, fourth weekend in October, Beth Shalom is celebrating its 100th anniversary.
Hallelujah. So we definitely need to be in Chicago in support of Rabbi. Rabbi Bowen?
Third weekend in July, Philadelphia, our annual anniversary celebration. Third weekend in July, Philadelphia, Congregation Temple Bethel.
You said third weekend in July?
Third weekend.
So that means after our event in Charlotte, we need to be in Philadelphia. So we got 4 events that we need to be mindful of. Respective leaders, if y'all can take that back to your homes and spread that information so that we can be in compliance with what we agreed to last year. Mr. Dad? Have inter-community calendars. That's something we've got to work on. Do combine scholar youth events. Support IMA Shabbat services. Exchange numbers and contact information. And have social events for children. So, of course, we're going to, Yah willing, add to this list, but there are some things on this list that we're accomplishing. There's one other thought that I want to bring to mind is that Saul Yehoshua made a comment about something that we could do collectively as far as an investment. I don't want to go too far on that, but I want to keep that on our minds about what each and every man could come up with to have put in the kitty so that we can grow this group financially, spiritually, in any kind of way that we can do it. We are going to be supportive of this group. That's it there? Hallelujah. So the first group, I'm going to call, and before I do that, just a couple of house rules. One, once the group finished making their presentation, anyone could stand and make a comment and add, because each one was in a different group, so you might not know what was being said in any other one of the other groups. So you may have something to add, and so we're going to have an opportunity where everybody can add their input to what is being said. Please be mindful, 2 minutes is your limit in commenting, because if everybody takes 30 minutes, we'll be here past dinner. So be mindful, 2 minutes. Keep that as your guide for your comment. Please be quiet and listen and receive. And have a wonderful day. That's the only other expectation, is have a beautiful day. So there's no rhyme or reason to my mind. So I'm going to ask if group 3 starts, make their presentation, because I have an order in my head, but it's not by numbers. So group 3, Bavakashah, let's give them a round of applause.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Shabbat Shalom. Brothers. It's feel good.
Yeah.
Because as brothers, we're the head. Even though things are perverted nowadays, and now, we have problems with our women, and, the Most High already put it in order, but they have a very, very important part in our life. We need each other, right? That's our rib. That's our second half of our brain, you know, so Todaya for the men's retreat. Hallelujah. Our presentation, we spoke about how do you deal with personal struggles. Personal struggles. Us as parents, us as adults, we have a lot of personal struggles because we deal with a lot. Internal struggles, external struggles. We'll start with internal struggles. Internal struggles can be personal finances, right? Okay? Maybe you didn't finish school. Maybe you don't have a trade. You know, maybe you don't have the job that you want that's paying enough to take care of your family. That's a struggle. Addiction. Addiction, spirituality, recognized struggle, right? Trust and love, communication, education, relating to others, food, depression, insecurities, ego and pride, abandonment, caring for a child that's sick, external struggles, marriages, personal finances, communication, education, food, racism, abandonment, caring for a child that's sick is, you know, it's external, it's internal. So, personal finances, like I said, mostly is an adult thing, right? Because we deal with all of this stuff. The children, you know, they don't deal with that much, right? Addiction. It seems like the young adults are dealing with that also, right? Sometimes addictions come from things that happen from depression. Sometimes people use that to cope with life, cope with problems. And that's not a good addiction, because next thing you know, you could become an alcoholic. You could become a drug, a drug addict, right? And addiction is not only drugs and alcohol. It could be other things. You can be addicted to sex. You can be addicted to food, become obese, you know? So all these things are addictions. Internal struggles, spirituality. Some of us, you know, what I do notice is that we do things by rote. Spirituality is something that makes you grow. Doing things by rote, or you're just here because, you know, this person is here, or I'm just here because my friend is here, my brother is here. Spirituality is supposed to make you grow. And how do you grow? Meditation, right? That's on the other page, but meditation and of course the Most High is in all of this, right? So now recognize your struggle. That's how you deal with it. Internal struggle, you have to recognize your struggle. Trust and love, we were talking about trust and love with our brothers. We have a problem with trusting each other and loving each other. As a people, you know, sometimes we have disagreements. But I use the example of a blood brother, you know, from your same father, your mother. You have disagreements with your brother. You might have a struggle, you might have a fight. But then what happens after that? You know, you love him. You say, man, I love you, knucklehead, but I love you. You know, right? Okay, we tend to not do that with each other, and we call each other brothers. We love to call each other brothers, but we don't do that. We'll be done with each other forever. I don't have to speak to him or her forever. That's not brotherhood. That's not real brother. That's not real love. If you could be done with me forever, you don't really love me. You say you love me or you call me your brother, but you're not really, that's not real love and that's not real brother. All right? Communication. We struggle with communication. The young brothers, you know, sometimes to communicate to an elder is hard. Because it's like, okay, am I being too forward? Am I being too disrespectful? Speak on it a little bit.
Kane, communication is a big thing. That's a problem with our youth, period. A lot of us do not know how to articulate ourselves to begin with. So when we're faced with a situation to where we probably don't feel like a person who's older than us will understand with, we would just sweep it under the rug and it's never talked about or it's never dealt with. You feel me? And things like that, you feel me? You can't hide stuff like depression or abandonment issues or real insecurities, because those things eat at you. And after a while, nobody will want to deal with you. In all honesty, you feel me? And you might not have done nothing wrong to nobody, but just by the way that you carry yourself, nobody wants to deal with you. You might feel like, oh, they could have helped me, but you could have helped yourself. And another thing is, you know, a lot of us, we struggle with education. Honestly, as a young black man, the education system is not built for us to succeed. But a lot of us take that as an excuse. It's a big excuse. We are different, period. There's no way to get around it. We're different. So relating to others, you know, in school, you might have that one friend. You love this friend. You know, you love hanging out with them. You might go to the movies with them or whatever. Cool. Friday night comes around, they're like, oh, we all talking about it all week. The new movie about to drop. We about to go see the Avengers. Friday come around, they're like, we gonna go in the daytime. Things happen, you know, y'all push back, and then they ended up going that night. And they're calling you like, hey, can you still trying to slide up out here and go to this movie? And then you get the feeling like, you know that's wrong. You know in your mind and your heart that you're not supposed to be trying to go and see that movie. That shouldn't even be on your mind in the first place. But, you know, feeling like you gotta fit in or peer pressure, you know, it might make you seem like, oh, I'm less of a cool person. You feel me? I don't feel cool because I didn't go see this movie with them. Or they might call you lame, or you might call you whack. But maybe that's just not the person you need to be around in the first place. Honestly, if they can't respect you for who you are, you feel me? Like, with me, I'm older, so, you know, I came into the age where I make more decisions for myself. So now my father's giving me more responsibilities. He's not gonna come and check and make sure that I'm in my room on Shabbat, you feel me? But it's just the fact that you know better. You know you're not supposed to be doing that. You feel me? You know you're not supposed to be trying to sneak out that window. You know you're not supposed to be putting that car in neutral and letting it back out the driveway. Come on now, it's simple stuff. So it's all about being you, being yourself, you know? Being yourself and not being scared to be yourself. You feel me? It all ties into your insecurities, you feel me? We may all have insecurities as men, whether we talk about them or not. A lot of men are very insecure, very much so. It's not so much a bad thing, but it becomes a bad thing when your insecurities push you to a point where you can't deal with certain people, or you can't be around a group of people because you feel like, oh, they might outdo me. They might be better than me at this. Oh, I can't even be around them because I know they're gonna outdo me. You feel me? Or I know that I'm not good enough. You know, and with all of this stuff that we all struggle with as young people, as men, you feel me? It's just, you have to be mentally stronger, and even so much physically stronger, you feel me? To where the point that certain stuff doesn't affect you. You feel me? You know who you are. You know exactly who you are. You know how you were raised. You know that you were brought up in the right way. You feel me? So when all those things that you know might stress you out, might bring you down, like, oh man, that check didn't hit today, this light bill's due today, I can't do nothing about it, but them lights is on, right? You feel me? Because you're doing the right thing. You're not going to steal from nobody. You're not going to rob nobody. You feel me? You holding it down. That's all.
Hallelujah. And then we deal with ego and pride. You got insecurities, you got ego and pride. You have to have a balance. How do you deal with it? How do you deal with this? We went into it a little bit. Meditation. Meditation is very good. Prayer. Right? Counsel, therapy, professional or non-professional, which is a brother that you love or a leader that you can trust. Right? All right?
And speaking on counsel and therapy, because we did have a conversation about this in our group, you feel me, as Israelite men, as black men. Let's not just say Israelite men, because you know we might have an expanded mind from the normal black man. But as a black man, we look at therapy as soft. You feel me? As Rabbi said, the couch. No black man wants to go sit on that couch and talk about his issues until it's too late. So if you feel like there's an issue and you know you have well-rounded people and like-minded people around you, you might need to go bounce those ideas off you. Even if it's not somebody who's older than you so much, but even if your peers, you feel me? If you know you got smart people around you, you might need to go bounce that off of them. That's what I say.
Right. Communication is another healing. That's how you take care of that. Trust each other. Confide in each other. That's hard, right? Because we love to talk.
With trauma as a people. So all of the list of things that they talked about that says, hey, you know, we struggle as a people and this is why we struggle. One of the key things that I think that they touched on was that of counseling, seeking counseling. But you can't just go to any old counselor. You can't sit on anybody's old couch, because some of those folks out there are crazy. You might be sitting on the couch of one of them type of people. So today in the book of Malachi, it talked about how Yah said he would heal who? The Levites. He would bring healing and purge the Levites. And so the Levites are the what? The spiritual center of the nation of Israel. So at some point you have to go find you a spiritual counselor that will help bring healing. It's all of those different avenues: studying the Torah, studying the Proverbs, meditation, and prayer. But there is a point in time that you have to find somebody that's going to help bring spiritual healing to you. Because if you're spiritually dead, there are things not going on inside of you that you know are going to motivate you. They're not happening. You have to find a key person that's going to help bring you spiritual healing. Can you get me out?
Yeah, tell her about. I know I hear a lot of times, and especially as we deal with these personal battles, an individual can't be helped unless they want to receive the help, unless they want to help themselves. So when you find a person in that situation where it just seems like you can't get through to them and you can't help them, what do you do as a leader or as a brother or as a father to try to help break that barrier?
Very good question. Anybody? Okay, Rabbi. Keep in mind 2 minutes for your response.
You find somebody else.
That's right.
Elaborate. Find somebody else.
Sometimes you can't talk to your own kid. And your ego got to move out the way at that moment because you can't deliver to your child the message that they need to get. So now I'm going to call the Don Son Aharon. Can you explain to this boy what because he ain't getting it from me. But sometimes our egos get in the way and we think like, because I'm telling you the right thing, you should just hear it. But sometimes there are other factors that make it so I can't hear you right now, right? Because you part of my stress, right? You part of my stress, so I can't hear you right now. And as fathers, as men, as leaders of the community, you have to be willing to recognize this person still has a problem. And it's still your responsibility to get them help, even if it's not you. Go find somebody that can help them.
Good answer.
We're going to kind of break it up with the 3 different questions, and we're going to start off with the young brother to come and explain what mentorship is, if he doesn't mind.
Shalom, shalom. Thank y'all for all our lives, turning out for the elders and everyone here. And I'd like to break up what mentorship and what a mentor is. So we know what mentorship is, which just states that mentorship is the guidance provided by a mentor, especially an experienced in a company or educational institution. And in mentorship, you can see that the key word is mentor. And a mentor, well, in my opinion, I believe that a mentor is someone you can trust. Kids, they could mentor adults in ways like, let's say a kid sees an adult doing something bad and the kid might be scared to go to the adult and tell them that they're doing something bad, but they just have to, because like if they don't, then, but even if the adult doesn't listen to the kid, then something might happen to the adult for not listening, because like the kid doesn't want to see that, and you're supposed to be the role model to the other kids. And adults are supposed to be the role model, so the kids are supposed to be listening to the adults. But even if you're like an adult, or let's say you're an elder or something, and the kid is trying to tell you to do something, the elder might, like the kid doesn't know what to do because they're like, I don't want to be disrespectful to the adult. So like let's say the kid might get beat or something like that for talking to the adult like that, or the elder like that, then that's not on the kid, that's on the adult, because they don't listen to kids. Kids have something to say too.
All right. The second question we're going to hit on is who is qualified to be a mentor? We have something in parentheses very important, positive, because we know that you can receive guidance or you can have a mentor, but they may not per se lead you in the right direction. So it's very important that you know who you're receiving certain information from. During the 80s, had you seen a man and a woman, successful men, successful wife, successful husband, one is a doctor, one is a lawyer, children, raising up and being able to have something for ourselves. So watching that as a young man, you say to yourself, that is attainable. I don't have to grow up in the projects or in the ghetto. Or I don't have to grow up all the time and have a broken family. These things are playing something positive psychologically in your mind when you're able to take in these good qualities. We have a sister in our community, shout out to her mother, IMA. She says something that is so profound. She said, you may be the only book someone may pick up and read. So in other words, people are always watching and they're always looking. So by the way that you conduct yourself as a man, the way you deal with your Isha, the way you deal with your children, the way you deal with your brothers and your sisters, you can positively influence somebody in a good way to say, wow, I can't talk to my brother with respect. I don't have to, when I address him, use the N-word. Or I don't have to use profanity when I speak. Or also you can see somebody doing these type of things and you can say, you know what, these are the type of things that I want to avoid. I even seen it on the trip here. You know, it was someone speaking to a young man telling him, hey, why don't you go speak to the sister and say this, that, and the third. But he had enough sense within himself to say, you know what, that's not right. So being able to use the discretion, when you have a mentor, you still have to make the final decision because the choice is yours. But it's very important that you're able to go to these people and gain insight. Just a few more points before I give it to the elder. As we mentioned, a mentor, you want to have, or if you're going to pick a mentor, have someone that is trustworthy and honest, that's able to give constructive criticism, to let you know sometimes if it's not right, it's not right. And it's okay. But it's a way that you can express that without breaking somebody's character. You may have to use an example to help them understand a little better. But it's a way that we have to build each other up, but at the same time not tolerating foolishness. The confidentiality piece, very important. You know, as a mentee, I may go to my mentor, I may share very personal things. And when I confide within my mentor certain things, I trust within myself that he's not going to share with other people. Because we, as men, we are all mentors, in a sense. So when things come our way and things are brought to us, we got to make sure that we have enough discipline not to share someone's personal business with others, because it's not the right thing to do. And I just want to, like I mentioned, all mentors are not positive. Just to bring a few aspects from the Tanakh, and then I'm going to pass it to Rabbi Yeshurun. Think about the Levites. We spoke about them today in the portion. The Torah states that when a Levite is 25, he has to 5 years within the Kohanim, within that office, to teach them. This is what you do when you become a priest. This is how you move. This is how you speak. This is how you do the offerings. This is how you make sure that you're always in a clean state. Or if you're unclean, how you have to refrain from doing certain things. So not only the mentor, but also the mentee have to be good listeners, have to be able to follow directions, have to be able to take insight, and you have to be able to act on the good things.
Please be seated. Shut the phone, please. I don't even see them jokers. There you go. All right. I got jammed up. That's okay. Now, in cases like this, when you need a mentor, how do I mentor my way out of this one? We talked about spirituality, and the young men made some outstanding statements about what spirituality is, and I kind of touched a little bit on it last night in a little presentation that I did. So, the brothers talked about spirituality, defining spirituality. How do we find or gain spirituality? How do we use spirituality as Israelite men? How do we maintain motivation and spirituality? And I want to kind of have all of these brothers do a little sharing with me. The first brother we're going to have share, where you go? Come on back around here. Everybody in this group, we got a bashful group. Moray, and I believe Moray is from Guyana, is that correct? Oh, you're Shmuel. I'm Shmuel. Moray Shmuel Ben Levi. He's going to talk to us about what spirituality is and how we define spirituality, and how do we find or gain spirituality. Those are the two questions that are going to be combined, and Moray is going to deal with them. The next question: how do we use spirituality as Israelites? You going to take care of that one? And then the last question, number 4, is how do we maintain motivation and spirituality? And our young brothers will share in that topic. So here we go with Moray.
Let us say hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom lechem. All weekend I've been set up. Okay. Spirituality, the definition that I recognize as being one of the best I've heard, is that spirituality is the active presence of Yah guiding you in everything that you do. So it basically, that's from Ben Ami and paraphrasing, it basically gives you an idea that whatever you do is supposed to be an expression of spirituality. It's supposed to be something that is seen. When we think of the prophet or the seer Shemuel in the Tanakh, he was living in the high priest's house, but he didn't get the message until the Most High called him. You see, he was just going through the motions, but until he came upon that experience personally, then he was able to understand what was going on. And in each and every one of our lives, we recognize that we may have been born in this way of life, but something happened in our experience that caused us to attain that awareness of what the spirituality is. We know that spirit is something that is unseen. On this retreat, we know that the spirit of love is here. We feel it. You know, we see it expressed in the way that we as brothers, as men, we're treating each other. We know that spirit is so powerful that there was an awakening on the planet. It continues. I was awakened thousands of miles away in Guyana. While you were being awakened, some of you right here in the United States of America. That's the power of the Spirit. We know that in every war, and we know that we're in spiritual warfare, in every war they're the wounded and they're the dead. And we know that spirituality can actually revive both the spiritually wounded and the spiritually dead. So we have to understand, what is this war that we are fighting? It's the war with our lower nature and our higher nature. For me personally, looking out at the youth, you know, I half think that I would love to be a youth again so that I can not make some of the mistakes that I made. I half think it. Because the mistakes that I've made have helped me to be the person that I am today. You see? So, you youth, you're in such a position that you're getting so much guidance. Because it's not that, I can remember when I was a youth, people talk to you, didn't want to hear. They're bothering you again, you know, I just want them to leave me alone. But we were trying to take you as the nation to the next level because the mistakes that hindered our progress. We don't want you to have to go through that. We want you to start where we left off from this level. So you take the nation to the next level. So the youth, we're always what, ascending, as the young brother said. We're ascendants of the past generation, not descendants.
That the Most High gave us, you know, to continue to do His law. And what we figured out, you know, and like we said, number 4, that one is through personal experience. Like you said, you have to want to find the Most High for yourself. It's not something that you can say, you know, well, I'm back camp again because my IMA and Alvin told me to come. I don't have a choice. when you're out the house, that's going to test how motivated you are and how connected you are to the Most High. And, you know, you're going to be tested. And the fact is, you know, like I think Yehu said it earlier, you know you're not supposed to be doing that. You know, are you still going to go sneak out that window? That's what's going to test you and what's going to build up your spirituality. Because like somebody said in another group, spirituality is always going to keep growing. And you have to grow with it.
Hallelujah.
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 To kind of piggyback off of what
Cowback. We cowback. Yeah, we don't piggyback.
My bad. Thank you for mentoring me. All right, to cowback off of what Val said, like we are still under our parents' rules, and we're doing this because our parents tell us to. But we also gotta find like why we're doing this. So what I said when we were in the group, I was like, I'm doing this, I'm doing what my Abba is telling me to. I'm keeping y'all's laws, and I'm seeing everything that's happening around me. Like while I'm keeping y'all's laws, I'm avoiding certain situations. Like I come in on the Shabbat, and I'm seeing my friends out there getting hurt, beat up, murdered, and while I'm inside safe, it's like a safe haven for like protecting us from what's happening around us. Friday nights, my friends wants to go to the movies, and I'm like, no, I can't. I'm gonna go home, and then something happens, or like, let's go over here, let's go hang out over here. Nah, I gotta go home. My Abba needs me. He wants me home at this time. All right, let's like certain things like like unclean foods too. Like you could get like pigs and stuff. They have like worms inside of them that if it's not cooked properly, you can get sick. That's all I want.
The young man has a question, and we're going to bring the prince back up. So why do we say God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob? I teach my congregation that it's just not related to three old guys. God of my faithfulness, Abraham. God of my obedience, Yitzchak. And the God of my struggles, Yaakov. So whatever situation you're in, it's all good and things are faithful and looking good, Hashem is there. That's right. Then you get the urge to go, but someone says no, Hashem is there. But then sometimes you have to walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Sometimes everything you think is going right starts going wrong. Every time you want to go forward, somebody's laying a stumbling stone before you. You got to roll the stone off the mouth of the well just to get a drink of water. So when we are talking about the ancestors, we have to understand their personal relationship with the Most High God. Shabbat Shalom.
Well, you see, I had a tough squad here, on spirituality. That's why, I got everybody involved as much as possible. But one of the things about the spirituality, we always ask, why do you pray? What's the purpose of prayer? Did the Creator ever tell you to pray? But we do that, and sometimes we feel good and we pray in our most desperate moment. What are we looking for in the prayer? Who are we looking to, who we were praying to? Why even bother ourselves? If it is a Creator, He's supposed to know what we need without asking. All right. So then we putting out spirituality. We say spirituality, are we the only ones that have it? Or do we the only ones that discover it within ourselves? And whether it can be positive or negative doesn't negate it being spiritual or not. those are some of the questions when we talk about spirituality. You know, we talk about, if we write the Decalogue, the Seder HaDivrot, in ink, on paper, and process of time, that ink smudged up and become almost inseparable from the paper. But the Decalogue that was the Moshe got from Mount Sinai, that Decalogue, it was carved. The word he used, the simple word for carving is kakika, from the word kok. Right? We got the word, we had said today, bekukothai. Right? So you have a statute, a rule, what makes the tablet different from the ink that's written on a piece of paper that become part of that is because those letters is not only in the tablets, but it's not the tablet no longer. It is not the letter no longer. It's happened to become the spiritual connection with the Creator that is placed in the Holy of Holies. Whereas the ink on the paper becomes part of the paper. Right. The carving in the tablets is actually no longer writing, and there's no longer tablet. It becomes strictly holy in the spiritual sense. And we have that same term used in the book of Eov when we talk about the word kuka. And I just have one of the brothers read that, the 38th chapter, 33rd verse. There's a statue of something that can never change. The statue will be accepted forever. And this is the question that the Creator asked Job when Job thought he knew it all. And he's looking for a spiritual answer, but getting earthly advice. Right? And then finally, when this guy Elihu, when he spoke, that was good enough for rebuking Job and rebuking the other guys. But it wasn't good until the Creator talked about what is the true rules of spirituality.
I'm lost. What really, can somebody help me in layman's terms to define what is spirituality? What is it? Really, what am I looking for? Y'all say, is spirituality, I'm clapping my hands and I feel like I'm going to heaven as we're singing? Or is it something that I have to look for within myself? Or is it something I have to go to Canada for to find? Where do I find this thing called spirituality? Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is my opinion. I think about spirituality.
Sleek, Shabbat Shalom, and giving all glory and honor to Yod-Heh Warpeh. I look at spirituality more like, I just heard him saying, I ain't stealing from you, like your characteristics in a way, like that thing that make you get mad, get happy, you know, and that's your ruka, that's your soul, that's in your body, you know. And I was talking about this with my eyebrow, that like scientists, they like creating things that these clones, so to say, like a Frankenstein monster, for example, but it has no soul, it has no spirit, it can't think, you know. That spirit helps you think, it gives you that. When you don't talk and you just talk to yourself, that's your spirit talking to you. You talking, you know, you could think, you smell, you feel. That's more your spirituality. You know, like somebody said, it can be negative or it can be positive, but that's still your spirituality. You know, and in a positive way, it can help you, because spirituality and mentorship to me kind of goes along with each other in a way, if that makes sense.
I'm still confused, thank you.
This is pretty much who's in that group. Spirituality is nothing corporal. It's not corporal, but it has an effect that can be seen. Gravity is nothing corporal, but we have an effect that we know something's working, holding us down here. But they never ever prove how gravity exists, because nothing you can put it in. Never you could say it was there. There's no gravity, there's something holding us down. So same thing with spirituality. And like the example that was brought out when we spoke in our group, that one of the highest spiritual men in the nation, Moshe, talked with God mouth to mouth. He didn't recognize that his successor, Yehoshua, had a different spirit on him. You know? He didn't recognize that. And he talking to the Creator, mouth to mouth. So when people ask, what is spirit? I really don't know what is spirit. Even when I clap, then why clap? Why feel good? What makes you feel that way? So it's not so much thinking about spirit, because a lot of times when we use this term faith, faith has an expiration date. Hope, because when you have faith, you can jump from one step to the next step. Once you do it, it expired. That faith expired. Hope in the Most High, and it's definite. That's all.
Hallelujah. Get to know one another. How many of y'all loving this retreat and spending time with each other? This started out with 20-something men in Charlotte over some sandwiches, right? And we've grown to, what was the last number, Rabbi? 91 men. And so the goal is to get beyond 91 men. So can I get New York to clap for me? New York, where you at? Philadelphia, can I get you to clap? Charlotte, can I get you to clap? Atlanta, can I get you to clap? Guyana, can I get you to clap? Israel, can I get you to clap? So the goal is to always come together and grow. Did y'all see that Torah service today? That was a blending. That was a blending of families. Huh? Who? Baltimore. Okay, I'm sorry. That's why I said Israel. But the fact that we could come together and blend what Yah's given us. And guess what? All of us look different, but we all share the same spirit of Yah. And what we're trying to do is to become spiritual men, just like Abraham. Let me tell you the power of spirituality. Spirituality is the highest attainment that a man can find, because it brings him balance in his business affairs, his home affairs, in every relationship. Because your spirituality is high, it allows you to be an Ish Tome. Anybody know what Ish Tome is? A whole man, a complete man. Who was called that? Noah. Creator called Noah a complete man. Who else was called Ish Tome? Who? Yaakov. So we have men, we have examples of men who are holistic. In other words, who in this room can master breathing? Has anybody in this room mastered breathing? I'm not asking you if you can, control. I'm talking about master your breathing. Mastering your breathing means that when a situation arises and you get angry, you mastered your breathing, and it allows you to maintain control. It allows you to think. It allows you to do so many things. Once you lose control, you have lost mastering breathing. You've mastered nothing. And so, again, spirituality is the highest form that we all, look, everyone in here wants cash, right? All of us want cash, right? After Kyl's presentation, we should all want some cash. Our fathers weren't poor men. These dudes had cash on hand in an account. They had it everywhere. And so, spirituality allows us to hear and listen to a man like Kyle and Catriel and say, hey, I'm going to do what I need to do